Hello you guys, and welcome to Abundantly Minimal. My name is Sarah, and thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I want to share 15 things that I have stopped buying since becoming a minimalist about 3 years ago. Not buying these things have saved me so much time, so much money, and so much energy, and hopefully these 15 things can also be things that help you out too. I think this time of year can be really fun, but also many of us might fall prey to some of the different marketing schemes and all the companies that are trying to get us to purchase much more than we actually need, especially with Black Friday and the holiday season just around the corner here. Of course, I don't think there's anything inherently evil about Black Friday or things like that. Rather, I think if we don't go in without a plan or we don't really stop and reflect about what we're buying, a lot of the things we buy maybe aren't needed at all. Maybe they won't even add value to us. So that's something we want to keep in mind when we're trying to make these decisions about what we're purchasing. And I hope this video can be a good reminder before we make some of those different purchases. Let's begin. DVDs are something I no longer buy. At one point, I was trying to collect an assortment of some of my favorite movies, but then I realized I'm not really the type who goes back to watch old movies very often. So we've kept our collection very minimal, mostly Jake's Star Wars collection, which he loves and he does actually watch several times per year. The good news is, even if you don't own DVDs, there's still many places that you can actually watch them, such as through a streaming service of your choice or the local library. The next thing I no longer buy are those random ingredients that I want to try out at the grocery store, but don't actually have a plan for. Maybe it's just me, but so many times I've seen some cool new piece of produce that I haven't seen before, haven't worked with, and I think, that would be fun to try. I'm sure I can do something with it, but I don't have a plan, and then what happens? It sits on the counter or in the fridge for much too long, and it just sits there as a reminder, like, why did I buy this? There's nothing wrong with trying new things, but it's really important for us to have a plan in place before we purchase something, so we're not just throwing money down the drain. Next thing that I no longer buy are fun shoes. And by fun shoes, doesn't mean that I think regular shoes can't be fun, but those special occasion shoes or, the shoes that just aren't really practical. Viewers on this channel know I do really enjoy used clothing, used things, so I definitely don't have a problem purchasing used shoes. And there was a phase where I was buying a lot of fun, different types of used shoes. I would buy different wedges and heels. I don't know why I purchased some of those things. They were fun, and I objectively think they're pretty and they're really cool, but I know myself, and I'm not gonna wear a heel out and about, and I'm pretty clumsy, so that would not be a good idea. Knowing this about myself has meant that I haven't purchased any of those type of things, and I really only have the basics in terms of shoes. The next thing that I no longer buy are books. Now, I'm not saying all types of books. This one's more of a temporary thing. At one point, Jake and I had 2 full bookshelves full of books, and you guessed it, we hadn't really read most of them. I kind of said no more buying books until I work through these, which meant, number 1, I had to be very realistic with myself and declutter a lot of those books that I honestly didn't see myself actually reading. And number 2, actually going through and reading them. Now, it's been a gradual process, but I think I've narrowed it down to about, maybe I have around 10 books at this point. I've reduced it quite a bit. And once I finish these books, then I will open myself up to possibly purchasing books again. But I think then the option I want to take going forward is not to actually purchase books anymore, but to get them from the library. But it's just kind of a limit on myself. Read what I have, get rid of that, declutter that, pass it on to someone who might enjoy it, and then go from there into looking at some of the new types of books that are out there. The next up is decorative dishware. As I was getting ready to kind of live on my own, I was randomly collecting different pieces of cooking equipment and decorative dishware and thinking that I would need this, or, this would be perfect for this very specific recipe. The truth is, at this point in life, I'm trying to just have the basics of kitchen equipment, and while I do have a few extra food styling props related to my work with my past cookbook and then other food styling projects that are coming up, I personally don't have a lot of extra, and I'm really happy with that. I don't want to own any pieces of dishware that I only can use for a very small percentage of the year or a small number of recipes. I want the things I have to be very versatile and useful all times of year. The next thing I no longer buy are office and school supplies. I am a teacher, and let me be honest, I do love a good set of school supplies or office supplies, but personally, I don't buy these anymore, at least not in the home, because we do so much digital anyway. But then also at school too, I think it can be very easy to really go overboard on these different school supplies. I'm very fortunate that my school district does provide some basic supplies to teachers, all the basics that you really need. So I don't feel that I am actually in need of anything. Also, there's still different like promotional sets of Post-its and notebooks that we have that we're going through, so I definitely don't need to add to that. The next thing that I no longer buy are t-shirts or pieces of clothing that have some sort of logo or message on them. You'd probably be able to tell as you watch most of my videos, I definitely don't really enjoy having much going on my clothing. And I feel like maybe a lot of us had phases where we'd often purchase different t-shirts for different events, or I know like different schools or college, but I think I've moved on and I don't really choose to wear those kind of things anymore. I know at my school that I currently work at, it often seems like there are more than 20 or 30 shirts available for sale each year for all the different organizations. And I just can't imagine forking over, if I wanted to buy all of those, like literally hundreds of dollars to purchase all of those things. It's just not something that I have in my budget, and I don't really wear that stuff. I have 2 shirts I wear for school, and it's a short sleeve and a long sleeve shirt, because if we wear school gear, then we are able to wear jeans on Fridays. So I do wear those, but otherwise I cannot remember the last time I purchased a t-shirt like that. Next up, cleaning supplies are something I don't buy. The great news is there are so many wonderful, easy recipes you can use for cleaners using household everyday ingredients, and I'd much rather do that and figure out whatever concoction I need for a certain type of cleaning. Maybe I'll Google it or use a mix of other things that I've used before around the house. Vinegar, baking soda, liquid Castile soap are all great options that work for a variety of things. I'll look it up beforehand and just use that. So much less space, so many fewer chemicals, and I think that it can make cleaning really simple. The next thing that I no longer buy are different ingredients to make desserts. Although I love baking and making treats, I have very limited self-control when it comes to dessert, and if I have the baking essentials I need to make desserts on hand at all times, I'm going to eat a lot more dessert than I normally do. Now, Jake will have a little bit, but usually if I make something like a batch of cookies, who's going to eat most of them? Me. So to combat this, I just don't really keep those items on hand anymore. Not only does it save a little bit of money and some space in the pantry, but it means I am not consuming the empty calories that come along with it. Instead, I'll make much healthier desserts, or I guess I should say less unhealthy desserts that are in a smaller portion, so it's definitely not as much of a disruptor of a healthy lifestyle. Hairstyling products are the next thing that I no longer buy. At one point, I used to have hair dryer, hot rollers, hair curlers, and a straightener. And over time, I got rid of all of those. Even after my straightener broke, I was previously straightening my hair for videos, and I decided not to buy another one just because I wanted to be a little healthier to my hair, and I find as I do less to my hair, I actually respect it more and think I look better with it just as is. So that has been a really cool thing. Obviously then it saves me a lot of time when I am getting ready for things, because I literally don't have any options of things I can use to style my hair, and I'm totally okay with that. Also related to hair care, the next thing I no longer buy are haircuts, actually. Now, it's been about 2 years of me cutting my own hair, and I have to say, it's gone pretty okay. I wouldn't say that I have an immense talent for it, but I watched several tutorials online, bought some hair cutting scissors, and the last few haircuts have done it myself. Now, obviously, I don't really have that elaborate of a hairstyle, and those who know me well know that I've pretty much had this hairstyle the whole time that I've been an adult, with the exception of one time I did get my hair cut super short and donated it, which was something that was on my bucket list, so I did that. I didn't love the super short hair, but you know, it was right after a breakup. The next thing that I no longer buy is a gym membership. When Jake and I used to live out in Western Illinois, we did purchase a gym membership there. But I know for myself, I never used it that much and never really got my money's worth. So it was definitely kind of throwing money away. My ideal self wanted to be someone who enjoyed going to the gym, but my real self actually didn't like going at all and only would go a couple times a month, which is definitely not enough to get your money's worth. Instead, I have found activities that I can do for free or just around the house that help keep me fit, such as when the weather is nice or not too crazy cold, going for walks. I'll dance around the apartment. We've got a couple other fun little tools to help with exercise. So doing these things is a great way that I can still stay active, again, moderately active. I'm grateful I'm able to work out for free, essentially. Next up, I have no longer purchased feminine products and instead opt for much more sustainable, environmentally friendly options, which include a menstrual cup as well as period underwear instead of the traditional pads and tampons. When we do the math on traditional pads and tampons, the cost per year of these items is staggering, and the amount of waste that is generated is also huge. So even though, sometimes people might not feel super comfortable with some of those other options like a menstrual cup or period underwear, for me they've worked really great, and it's an amazing way to save money, not have to purchase as much, and not have to waste as much. So I definitely encourage you to give it a try if you haven't already. Next up, number 14 on my list is paper towels. Personally, I have found that paper towels have been something I don't need. I haven't kept them regularly in the house for a very long time, and a great thing to use instead of paper towels is old t-shirts or other items you no longer need. You can cut them up into smaller rags and use those instead of paper towels. Just throw them in the wash as normal, and then you have a reusable rag that you can keep using for cleaning purposes. And I find too, especially if I'm, wiping down the sink or counters, it actually is a lot better to be using those rags instead of the paper towels. Not only are you using way fewer of them, but it seems to be a better clean. And lastly, for the final item that I no longer purchase as a minimalist, it is the clothing that we should have, but actually don't really want or see the value in. With fashion, I used to feel like I needed to have certain pieces or that certain pieces would be necessary for X, Y, and Z. But these days, I have a much better sense of what I actually need, what I actually wear, and am able to cut out some of those extra pieces. Being very rational about this and having a good plan and vision for what you want your wardrobe to be definitely takes time. And I would definitely not say that I'm super stylish or anything like that, but I do know that since I have narrowed down more of what my vision is and been very realistic about what I actually wear, it's meant that when I actually do purchase something, either used or some sort of ethical fashion company, I actually end up wearing it. Unlike a few of the items that I used to buy, especially dress clothes were the ones that I was the most guilty with. So that wraps up my list today of 15 things that I no longer buy. I hope this was a helpful video to you, especially as there is a lot of consumption going on and it can feel very tempting to want to give in and purchase certain things, but I encourage you to really think about whether or not you actually need that item. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, feel free to join our community by clicking over here, and you can check out some of my past videos over here. I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Bye.